Hello Harald, nice to have you here.
Hello.
We are just coming from our live stream in German language, and there were quite a few people watching, and it was fun doing the exercises together, and we feel very inspired. And Harald told me today he received an email, and in this email a friend wrote to him, okay, I'm coming to watch, and as I know you well, it will become a surprise because you are so open for changes and reacting on the spot. And that's what I also experienced today. Harald, it is so nice to know you and to exchange not only thoughts but practical exercises. But that's how what I learned from you. They are so simple. You do not have to make it complicated inwardly, but nevertheless they are meaningful and thoughtful. And that makes it so interesting for me what you are doing. Harald, do you want to let us know a few things about yourself? What brought you here? And yes, we have a common friend in the Philippines. Maybe you also tell a little bit about him.
Yes, thank you for your invitation. And it was actually Walter Siegfried Hahn who connected us. Walter is a very, very dear friend of mine. And we met some 30 years ago in Poland, actually. And his way was quite different from mine. He developed in Germany, I think 2 or 3 so-called fields of experience. That means that are kind of playgrounds where you can experience your outer senses. And he worked here in Germany for quite a long time and with big success. And he brought this kind of work to Asia now. In China, we have the first field. And I started to explore the inner fields of our senses about 15 or 20 years ago when I started with Chi Gong. And now it seems that our both paths are matching together because he's developing the soil for the outer development, and he's really concerned to improve the soil on Palawan Island, the soil for living, and I'm trying to improve the inner soil, and this is in first place the connective tissues. That means I'm working with the connective tissues, and now the latest research in fascia showed that here we found many reasons for illnesses, for our immune system, and forever, and mostly for the self-regulation. And what I'm doing, I'm just trying to develop an easy way for everyone to make use of the big potential that lies in our inner senses.
Yeah, caring for the inner soil, Hahn caring, or Walter caring for the outer soil, in both of you on fields where it's really needed. If you want to donate, or if you like what you're doing, don't hesitate to use the link which we have put in the chat and in the description of the live stream. It can be used for very good purposes over there in Palawan. Great. And this t-shirt is part of this initiative, Grubewitz 1924. That's where the biodynamic farming has become founded by Rudolf Steiner. And that's the origin of that's where this initiative defines its roots. Harald, the inner soil, how do you dig it?
No, first of all, you have to change your perspective. And that is to change your perspective in body work. Normally, we are used to focus on outer movement. That means we look, and maybe you just take, for instance, a yoga lesson or Qigong lesson or Pilates or whatever you're doing or used to. We are focused on how a movement looks like. For instance, where are my elbows? Where are my hands, my feet, my hips, my head, and so on? The inner movement focuses on how does a movement feel.
So that's maybe a hint, because when we discussed a little bit about these things, when I was preparing myself for the interview, I was looking at Qigong videos, and then I found videos where people speak about the inner Qigong. Yeah?
Yes.
And you were very happy about that, but you told me nearly nobody is practicing it. What do you mean by that? So what's the difference? Because everybody who is doing Qigong is looking for streams and wants to experience something. And you said to me, yes, but the inner Qigong might have some aspects which are not sufficiently touched. Did I understand that right?
Yes, I think it's also a problem of teaching Qigong. And this was my first impulse was about 10, 12 years ago, when I realized that the Eastern way of teaching doesn't help people so much to get into the inner world, because this is rather a teaching for Asian people. And this is the whole principle is you have to look at me all the time, look at me a very long time, repeat what I'm doing, and then you will have the result after 30 years. And the rather Western way, or my way, is rather to give the people really assistance or coaching to explore the whole way of the movement. And so you see the outer movement, the chi, or the inner flow, let's call the inner flow of energy, is not the result of the outer movement. It's just the other way around. The flow of the inner energy provokes the outer movement. This is the soil. And in Chinese tradition or Qigong tradition, this is one of the most known principles, that first there is intention and the blood flows where the intention flows, and the bones and the muscles follow the blood. That's one of the Qigong principles. But the way Qigong is taught is the other way around. Just look what I'm doing and you will feel the flow. And I just try to make it very easy for everyone to get into the inner flow.
And for this
maybe
reason,
I will
Harald,
give you an example.
Yeah, or you have also developed a broad teaching which you offer to everybody on your website in German language and in English. And if you want to have a look at his site, you just go to intendons,
This means in English it's clear, it's intendons.
intendons in the tendons. Huh? That's
Yeah,
your.
but you
There's a
also
secret.
find the word intention, and you find the word tension or tendons.
Yes,
There's
and there you have his teachings, and when you go to his site, you find many courses, also in English, and he's also teaching live. Intendons.de. And Harald, now you can just, what's a good way to step into the experience of the inner movement, which in eurythmy is also one of the key factors. How do you step into it? Can you show us, do with us a practical example?
it's for me it's and that's really a part of the concept. How to get without any discussion or without any brain activation into action. And it's very simple, you just do it. You do something without explaining, and the movement must be very, very simple. And that's why I developed such things like the Chi Gong of the Smiley Qigong, or yoga of the fingertips, because it's very easy. You don't need any special place or surrounding or special clothing or whatever. You just can do it in everyday life. And if you do it as inner movement, you can do it in any outer situation. Standing in a queue or whatever, sitting in a car, waiting for something, you can just activate your inner flow. And one of the examples I like really, I must admit, it's just one of my favorites. It's the Smiley Qigong. And this is very good because you can do it with children, with elder people, because they know the movement. It's just drawing a smiley emoji into the air. That's the mouth, the nose, the eyes, and the head. That's not complicated. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everyone can do it. Now the next step is you have to ask for a small challenge. And the first challenge is to involve the breath. And you do it by coordinating your breath with the movement. That means you start breathing. That's breathing in. You could try to breathe out, but that doesn't work really good. You will find that breathing in while drawing the mouth is much easier. Then you can breathe out while drawing the nose. You can breathe in, drawing the eyes, and breathe out, drawing the middle of the eyes. Breathe in, first half of the head. Breathe out, second half. Now, if this coordination is established, you can play around. For instance, you can make it very big. or you can make it very small or tiny. Or you can make it very serious. Or very easygoing. And by the way, you just changed your emotional emotional state in the body, just like changing the weather, different emotional states. And that means you left somehow the state you were in before. That's already a result of the outer movement coordinated with breath and natural emotion. Maybe you realize that I didn't mention the emotion. It just happened. For me, the best works the tiny one. I can't do a tiny smiley without smiling. It's very, very difficult. And that means the smaller the movement, the more you will activate the emotion. And now we step into the inner Smiley Qigong, and therefore I want to ask you just to hold your hands together or to bring them in a stable position wherever you like, on the body, behind the body, wherever, just holding the chair, but just make them still. Find somewhere here on the joints of your hands, on the elbow, or here on the shoulders, 2 points, one left side, one right side. And imagine these points were like little brushes, and you would draw the smiley with these points in the air. Just as far as you can do it without moving your arms or your hands apart. You can engage your breath, or you can just concentrate on the small movements. Mouth, nose, eyes, on the head, around. And you can always also try to do it a little bit bigger or very, very small. This is a bigger smile drawn by my joints here. And this would be a very tiny one drawn with my elbows. And the next little challenge, if you want to join me, just find 2 points here on your breast case here, wherever it feels good for you. Maybe for me it's just here. And draw the smiley from this point and the last one, find 2 points here on each side, 1 point where you feel that you are very sensitive. Find the most sensitive regions on left and right side and draw 1 smiley in front of you and 1 smiley behind your back. And maybe you still can feel or sense or see the 2 smileys, 1 in the front, the second behind your back, and maybe even a 3rd one, and this smile is here. And it's time for a little theoretical part. If you are researching smiling people, you will find the difference between a smile that comes from inside. You see it here in the eyes, you see the eyes sparkling here, or you see it even here in the mouth. And you can differ it from a smile that is just a social smiling on your face, which you feel appropriate in a situation. And you can really measure the difference, and if you look at the people, you also can see whether it's a smile from inside or it's just the outer social smile. And a very famous person for a real authentic smile is the Dalai Lama, for instance. Look at his smile and you see what really it is to smile from inside out. And this small exercise maybe will help you to smile as much as you can from inside. And if you decide in a social situation to smile, then you have the choice to switch over to a really, really true smile. Thank you.
Question, Harald. When
Yes.
I did it with you and I enjoyed it, it's always a surprise that's easier than I think. When you tell me draw something, yeah, I don't know how to do it, and then I do it. Why can I do things where I don't know how to do them?
Oh, very interesting question. maybe you feel a difference between doing and knowing.
Yeah. Do you mean the doing knows, but the knowing doesn't know how to do it?
Sometimes there's a saying in German, yeah, I have to look like I do something to know what I'm doing.
Say it again, please.
I have to look like I do something to know what I'm doing. That means the action, the action comes first.
Or the action kindles the inner wisdom, huh?
Yeah, sometimes it's just you have an kind of you remember how you have to do something, and that's a very important issue, because it's not so easy as it looks like, because it's sometimes very complicated to really find a good door, a good picture that really engages the inner sense.
When I do the drawing with you, what you did now with the inner, drawing the smiley, I mean, I know you and I know you leave me free how I'm doing things. You make a proposal and
Yes.
you prefer that I try to find my own way rather to just do it exactly how you did it. But then I changed the order of when I drew what comes first, the eyes, the mouth. And I had the feeling your order makes sense. Is this feeling right?
Well, it's not the question whether the feeling is right, but sometimes I also have the impression that there is a deep sense that you just start from the mouth, and the energy flow is like opening and going up. That's the energy flow. Then the next step is you are up and you go down. That's very logical. Next step is just you are looking for something and you focus it. And the next step is you get an impression of the whole picture. And then you're back to where you started from. That's very logical. But that's not rather my decision. I just got the idea. I don't know where from. I think it's just the ideas come to me. Almost every idea, all things I'm showing or explaining, they come to me at between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. I just wake up and I don't think about anything. I don't think, just my body starts to do something and I say, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I like this. I'm just dreaming it. I say, oh, I like this very much. I want to do that. It's just an invitation that comes to me. And that's how the Smiley Qigong came to me. I just woke up and say, oh, that's very easy. Even I can do it.
Yeah, it looks so easy first that you could think it's artificial or it's just something, by accident. You could have chosen something else. And then you tell us such a mystery. You receive it, somebody's knocking at your door at 4 o'clock in the morning. Dear Harald, please look, I've brought something to you. And then you start working with it and discover.
But it's not. It's difficult to call it an idea. It's just the body is doing it. I didn't know this before, and I wake up and my body is doing something I didn't know before. And that's interesting. That means the doing is the first step. I'm just looking at myself or listening to myself, and I have a nice, really nice invitation to join this movement.
So, in a way, you say you're not getting it from the outside, but it's somehow born from the inside.
Yes, it comes from the body.
The body.
Yeah.
And it also tells me a little bit, it's a sort of, it's still archetypal, huh? When you say, okay, this
Maybe, yes.
makes sense and something else doesn't make that sense. So you have, in a way, you work with freedom, but still in a structure which is given in a way by the body, huh? By what the body likes.
Yeah, maybe it's just the time we didn't have that in the German interview, but maybe it's time just to explain something about working with Qi in the Chinese tradition.
Please go ahead.
Yes, but because I was preparing something I wanted to show in Qigong for Qigong teachers. And then it was actually in this process where I got this idea or this information. And it's maybe most of you know that the Chinese are somehow dealing with energy flow, and they have these meridians, and they have special ways where these energies goes and so on, and that they are also just working with the energy. And you can find, basically, that's my interpretation now, basically 3 dimensions. And the first dimension, that's very easy dimension, that's up and down, left or right, forward, backward, these directions. That's just 2D, 2 dimensions. That's the first plan. The second plan is expansion and contraction. Expansion, there you have 3 dimensions. And that's the second plan, 3 dimensions. You have expansion and contraction. And on the next plan, you have 4 dimensions. And that's the question of connecting all together, or integration, or isolating one part from another. That's isolation. And in this little exercise of the Smiling Qigong, you find all the different energies you can experience, or energy flows you can experience also in Qigong work. It's upwards expanding. Yeah, it's downwards concentrating. This is connecting. And this is, it depends how you do it. This might be concentration, but this can also be isolation. You just drop it out. Isolation, separation. And here you connect, again, that's connecting. But you could also connect and isolate. Just you can do it in a different way, but you find all these different qualities, these basic dimensions or plans of energy work. You have it in one movement, and then we come to the next principle of Qigong work. That means you bring different energies in a relation so that they come into a process of rebalancing each other. So you always work with different energies and different possibilities to give an opportunity to rearrange everything. And this is what I really am very grateful for from my Qigong practice, to that I got in touch with this kind of thinking. And I use it now for to promote the inner movement. But the body wisdom is also rooted in the Chinese tradition.
So you speak about 4 dimensions.
Yes, you need 4 dimensions.
Different qualities, huh?
Yes.
So
there are 3
order,
plans and 4 dimensions.
Expansion, yeah?
Yes.
Concentrating. And then there's sphere, and then this connecting
that means
issue becomes so important, huh? Connecting and isolating.
That's a very, very, very...
where you want to reach at, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, but you can reach such a complicated structure with so many interconnections just by taking the principle of making this curve, making the dots with a specific intention.
Yes. I think I agree with you that somehow your intention is an expression of this energy of connecting everything, because you hold it in your intention.
So we have that's one keyword perhaps, or a set of keywords. But before you used another keyword, you started with the Smiley Qigong and mentioned Dalai Lama, the representative of large Buddhist stream, and in Buddhist meditation, the inviting happiness into your meditation is also a key word.
Yes.
And you worked with us on the smiling from within by using this smiley and detecting it a little bit as an archetype. But how do you come from the inner smile to happiness? I must say something. Harald allowed me to throw him into deep waters, and we just didn't agree who is allowed to throw first. Yeah. So Harald, how do you come from the inner smile to happiness, which is so important if you want to develop? That's what I understand. So otherwise, it wouldn't be so important in meditation.
Well, I think personally, and some people may agree with me, there is a kind of hype around happiness. That means for some people, happiness is the goal of living. But you have to take a kind of perspective where happiness is just one part of your life. Because there is a kind of happiness that prevents you from developing. On the other hand, and that's a finding on there's a very well-known brain researcher in Germany who wrote a lot of books about learning and how to teach other people, and he found out how important for us is that the things we can only learn, really we can learn only things if they are meaningful to us. And for me it's much more important to find something that is meaningful for me than to feel just happiness. Happiness can stay on the surface sometimes. But if you really find something that is meaningful for you, that will bring you forward in any case, if you are happy or not, because you think this is meaningful for me. It's very, and there are also quite a lot of philosophers who wrote about this aspect of life. Yeah, this must be. You are happy if you find something that is meaningful to you.
It's always difficult when one discusses about words, because words
Yes.
leave the interpretation so open, and it's a sort of how do we agree on what do we put into words. But when you say there's a hype around it, then it's a fact, observation.
Yes.
But if you can create a hype, there must be a deep longing behind it. Otherwise you couldn't create this hype. So, and you said this longing or this concept of happiness can be misused.
Yes.
But on the other hand, it creates a hype.
Yes.
And what I found, or what I'm working with, is when you said you have this fourth sphere, where this starting to interconnect things, and that's already touching the facial tissues a little bit. And I have also this, if I'm not completely wrong, yeah? Okay, this interconnectiveness and sensitivity within a sphere, not sensitivity, what do you think, and I'm sensitive again for what you say. And what I thought, what people are looking for when they look for happiness is this interconnectedness. Yeah, I feel happy if I feel connected to something. And then no matter what, that's why we look for so different things. But behind everything is the need of feeling connected. And when you now speak about this role of the happiness within meditation or within the energy, maybe when you start touching this sphere, where this isolation, you spoke about not only being happy, but the connectivity also takes place. You might touch a sphere where this happens. Does this make sense to you?
Yes. Yeah. And with the inner movement, you have just a very good field to experience the differences, and somehow meaningfulness. That means you get additional information that makes a big difference for you, a big difference. And you can find it also with the Smiley Qigong. I will show you the next exercise soon, and you just feel for you personally that something in your body makes a difference, and this difference seems meaningful to you, and you experience a kind of connectedness to your body, but also a kind of, you call it in psychology, you call it self-efficiency. That means you feel a little bit more at home in your body, because you find out that oh, I'm changing just a small little detail in my fingertips or whatever, in my imagination, in my intent, and the whole sense, the whole body sense changes. And you are doing it, not your teacher or any kind of concept or whatever. You're just doing it. It's a little bit like reading books about swimming, and you can read everything, but if you are thrown into water and you find out how to swim by yourself, this is very meaningful to you. You can watch little children. I'm a swim teacher also, and I like to watch little children making their experiences in water. And they are really so happy if they find it out by their own. Some of them, mostly the parents, are rather happy if they think the children do what they should do. But the children are really happy if they find out how to swim by their own.
So, Harald, can we try this out? Maybe
Yes.
you try to teach us an exercise and develop the art. How do you do that? That we can find out by ourselves.
That's it. Yes.
How to do it.
Actually, the keyword is water. We will have a small exercise with water, but we start with gravity. Gravity. That means that's your weight you feel. And if you are sitting, you feel your weight in as pressure between your pelvic bones and the chair. Yes, you sit on your pelvic bones and you feel the pressure in contact with the chair. And between these two pelvic bones, your weight is shifting from one side to the other. You're just shifting your weight. And you see the whole body is somehow moving. And you can imagine, if you want, that your gravity is concentrated. All your body weight is concentrated in a ball, and this ball is just switching from one pelvic bone to the other. Your whole body weight is concentrated there. And to make it, or to enter the inner movement, we will, like in the previous exercise, just fix the arms and the shoulders. And for you to help you to fix your arms, I use the picture of a tray. As you see, this is a tray, and if you just imagine a tray, and you are balancing the tray in front of you, and just to help you more to activate this picture, imagine a bowl on the tray, and in the bowl a lot of water. Yeah. So, it's not so good idea to repeat the movement as before, because you will drop all the water and the bowl will fall down. So just try to shift your weight without moving the tray too much, and I will use all my arms and hands. There's rather no movement in the hands, and I'm still switching. Now find the smallest possible movement but you are still feeling the ball between the pelvic bones rolling from one side to the other. You can leave your arms and hands on the side. The picture with the tray is just to help you to find this small inner movement of the ball from left to right and back. And now just change the material of the ball. Maybe so far it was a kind of iron ball. Now it will be elastic, like a tennis ball. And it can jump from one bone to the other. Instead of a rolling ball, now you work with a jumping ball. But still, your whole body weight is concentrated in this ball, jumping from one side to the other. Now we are not only changing the material of the ball, but also our surroundings. Imagine you were sitting on the moon, and here the gravity is 6 times less than on Earth. That means your body weight is 6 times less. And the ball is jumping, but now it needs much more time to jump from one side to the other, and it gets much higher, 6 times higher, 6 times slower. And you can, if you want, close your eyes and just observe this elastic ball on the moon jumping from one side to the other. And if this is still too severe, too heavy for you, go to another planet where maybe the gravity is about 20 times less than on Earth. And the elastic ball is even jumping 20 times slower and higher than on Earth. And if this is too open for you, too wide, too small, then go to a planet where the gravity is much higher than on Earth, maybe 2 times, 4 times, 6 times higher. And feel the weight of the ball. It is still jumping, and everything is very dense. There's a lot of weight that brings you down to the ground. And then find the planet that you really like. Find the optimal for this time, the optimal gravity for you. Maybe higher, maybe lower than on Earth. So allow your body wisdom to tune your inner instruments. And before you open your eyes, remember the smiley you have drawn in the previous exercise.
Yeah, great. All right. Coming back from Jupiter, Pluto, not Pluto.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Neptune. Huh?
You can really try that exercise before falling asleep, because we had a discussion in German already, how this experience of getting weightless, even weightless, and the experience of getting very, very dense is related to the theory or the experience of the astral or the etheric bodies in the anthroposophian point of view. It was maybe Theodore can comment on that.
Oh yeah, when you go to sleep and you want to sleep, you depend a little on that you allow to soul you to just leave the daily business, let's put it like this, and the body to come to a sort of rest where this interconnectiveness can do its playful game without disturbance by me, please body do this and do that, yeah, that it can reorganize. And this this interplay, but it must be a friendly interplay that you can also rely that you can come back again, yeah? It's not, oh, I don't like you anymore, I want to go. And then the other one says, yes, but then please stay away. Yeah? And then you don't dare to go. Yeah? And so I can imagine very well that this becoming light is a little bit this, yeah, defining a new relationship, a tender relationship. It's, yeah, it's not a separation. It's still a relationship if you're light, if you do not put weight on something anymore. And also when you had this part where you let the both become happy, then it's not necessarily a hardening thing, but it's, you look towards, yes, forces which can become contract, but it's still not a density which is hard, but it's still full of playfulness and life and inner elasticity. Yeah? And yes. So on both sides, on the more concentrated side and on the other one, you were practicing playfulness.
Yes, yeah. I don't know whether you would agree. I think you should agree. There is a really small but very, very, very deep exercise, and it's related, for me, it's related to the process of dying. And I could show you this small exercise, and this involves that something we take as very, very heavy or serious needs playfulness. And this is an exercise I like to share with elder people, because they like it very much. They really like it. And it's very easy. It's really easy. It's just that you play around about leaving your body or not. And it's a picture of a little bird that is flying around. And first of all, you just have to find this little bird. You really have to feel it. Where is the little bird flying around my head? Front, how high? Where do I feel it? And then calm down. Calm really down to invite the little bird to land somewhere on your head. Just invite the bird. Sometimes you have to wait. Just a bird coming down. And then invite the bird to build its nest in your hairs. And find out what kind of bird you invited. The character of the bird might differ very much. Sometimes they are very straightforward, sometimes they are very playful, sometimes they have no idea what they should do, or they're just lazy or busy. And then relax with the bird in your hairs. Then the first is that there is the idea or the knowledge that there must be a point of saying goodbye to this bird. And you have to do nothing. You just wait until there will be the right moment and the bird will just fly away. And let this bird fly away. And if you want, you can invite it for next year to build its nest again and to land on your head. And at the end of the year, you allow the bird to fly away. And the inner movement is just the moment of the landing, the invitation to land, and the allowance to fly away. So, and now, just the Taoist interpretation or the Chi Gong interpretation of this really little exercise in Taoist tradition. And I want to mention one of my teachers. This is Mantak Chia, and he wrote very interesting books about also about the dying process, and explains the very, very important role of the pineal gland here. That's the highest gland in your body, and there's a whole book about this, how the glands contribute in the dying process. And this inner movement, I think, will help you to activate the pineal gland and to put your awareness on this point here. And it's without any anatomic or other explanations. It's just a picture that helps you to find how to land on Earth and how to fly away. So you see the inner movement, maybe it's very, very easy, it's very light, it's playful, but it can bring you to a very important dimension of life. And now I shocked you, maybe.
You make a journey with us, and I mean, what inspired you to bring that now?
I don't know. It's just because I think it's the season of the year, because now it's the end of the year in nature, That means in November, all the leaves are fallen down. We come to winter, and all the birds are flying away. So this is, and this also a kind of Qigong philosophy that they go with the seasons. That means in spring you are dealing with other issues than in autumn or in fall.
And you also have the picture in Eastern concepts that you have the body is all seasons take place in the body.
Yes.
All the time. Yeah. Huh? And I think in the previous exercise you brought us into lightness, yeah? And then you have to make a decision to also appreciate the gravity again, but in a new way. And this transition when you go to sleep, yeah, and you come back reminded you of this concept of, you can even make bigger steps and then you go in another direction. And I liked it, and it's a surprise that one can feel it. But I have a question, and that's, you can make a lot of soul journeys with inner pictures, in different ways, to experience different things. What makes this exercise a Chi exercise?
Mm-hmm. Yes, maybe you just have the different states you can step in. The first state is you just have the imagination of a movement. You just imagine it, but nothing happens in your body. And so this is also what happens in many different schools. You just imagine a movement, and this may be helpful, it may be useful, but as soon as you really make your tissues move, that makes a big difference. That means the blood is flowing to the places you are aware of. There's more blood, there's more oxygen, the cells are producing, are nourishing, the tissue is nourished by the cells, the mitochondria are working, and so on. And this is Chi. That means really, you would say, you can translate it as the life forces are activated. Everything that keeps you alive. And it's not, imagination is just the first step.
So what was the step we made that the tissues started to move?
That's interesting. I
had this picture of this bird, and I could just try to find it. I had the idea of the bird first, and the picture of the bird flying. Then I don't remember, did he build its nest or did it just take place in a nest? And then I suddenly felt it.
Yes.
In my body. Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't just an imagination. It was not just fantasy. It was as if somebody would execute pressure, or even not just pressure, but sink a little bit into my skin on the top of my head.
Yes, it's very interesting. There's a famous also brain researcher, and also is publishing books. It's called, his name is Damasio. You will find some books in English and German. And lately he wrote a book about feelings, and he explained that probably our brain is organizing all information in kind of patterns, and these patterns could be called pictures. And that means if you succeed in activating a whole pattern as a picture, you will activate a whole bunch of reactions. And that's why, and that is what my work is about. My work is about creating or finding pictures that are very convincing. And I give you another picture for that. If you have a flock of cows, let's say about how much cows do you need to have a flock? About 18 maybe. 18 cows. And these cows make a flock. And it's in the evening and you want to bring the flocks back to the stable. Yeah. So how can you convince these cows to come back? You have to find a really good argument. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just finding how to convince the whole body to switch in another state or another place.
I mean, what comes to me, what we touched in this hour, and I'm very grateful for our exchange. Thank you so much, Harald.
Yes.
We were, without planning it, we are starting about crossing thresholds.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes.
Just we did exercises. We were playing with polarities, light, gravity, but suddenly we had sleep and awakeness. We had death and birth. Not yet, but this. Yeah. How do I go with it? How do I cross the threshold? But but then we also had, how does a picture become not just an inner experience, but an inner deed, and this connectiveness in this fourth sphere somehow, to me, is starting to play a role in that. No? And you mentioned feelings are more than one might think, perhaps. It's not just soul element, but how do these things cross the threshold in a way that Chi flows?
Yes.
And maybe, Harald, you want to give us a last example how you want to achieve it. And I found it so beautiful that when we spoke about this, the meaning, it needs meaningfulness and the happiness. And that it was a sort of, what is it now? What is more important? And then the picture came to me of this bowl. That happiness might be the bowl in which meaning can be transported and make its way. Yeah? And then you started to work with the bowl afterwards.
Yes.
And again, this transition between those two elements. Give us a last exercise or just a hint of how you work in this direction. That's
also, it's kind of, there always is a kind of discussion with participants in my courses who come from other fields, whether or not I'm lacking seriosity, because I'm playing around really big and heavy and severe issues in life. But on the other side, we know that we can deal with the problems or with many things not only by engaging our cognition, but we have to engage all our potential, and our sensing is very important to give us orientation. And I think it's not so good if we are anxious about our feelings or don't want to get in contact because we are cutting ourselves from very important information. And one of the information you can get is refinement. That means you have, for instance, you have one bunch of information, and then you can go deeper and deeper and refine it. And the deeper you go, the more it is interesting. And one of the body sensations we know is the breath. It's very easy to get access to breathing, and the refinement of the breath is a very good experience to learn or to allow you to go deeper and not to stop at the threshold of really fine or of refined feelings. So and we use it's fine. We use the fingertips. Yeah, and you just take the index finger and the thumb together like that. It's like an Indian mudra. Some know this. And we coordinate the pressure between the fingers with the breath. That means, for instance, you are breathing in and you just open the space between the fingers. Breathe out and you minimize the space. You close the space. And now the other way around. You're just inhaling, but you are closing the space a little bit more. And it's rather without pressure, it's just like sinking together. The two fingers are sinking together as you breathe in, as you inhale. And loosen the fingers as you exhale. It is as if you would inhale or exhale through the space between your fingers. Shift the part of the awareness to the root of your nose. And maybe you are sensing a small region here that you can open up together with the fingers, can open the space here, and you just can contract it a little bit. Open this space and contract it together with the fingers, and inhaling, refine the breath using the refinement of the finger movement. Sometimes it feels like smelling something very nice, like a rose or a flower, blossom, a dear friend, like that. And finally, connect everything in your body from your head top to your soul, just breathing together. All parts of your body are inhaling into refinement and are exhaling to your normal or rather normal state of being. And you are inhaling into refinement. And this maybe are my final words. We have the potential for refinement because it helped you it helped us through our evolution to refine our senses. And it's very sorry that most people just are aware of their senses when they are losing them. And it's much better to use them instead of losing them. Use it or lose it. Well, thank you very much for your invitation. I really enjoyed our meeting.
And Harald, you are not just teaching, I think. You try, and you're doing it, you're opening doors. And with this simple exercise, when you notice that you start with a breathing which is still manipulated a little bit, like this, but it has a strong effect. And then you can use your sensitivity in your fingers, letting things happen. And you just concentrate on this tenderness, and then suddenly, on much deeper levels, other things start to happen.
Yes.
And I think that's a very, very special thing you are bringing, Harald. And I wish you that you can give it to as many people as possible. And I really appreciate what you brought. Thank you so much. And we were discussing about important things, and we have so much things in common that you work on one part here in order to make something happen, that you're not focusing on what you want to achieve, that freedom in your body can take place, and this inner wisdom, the inner connectiveness which is there, can start to play its role, and build the bowl for us. And if I may, yes, please, Harald.
I think it's very easy. For me, it's happiness means to see the sparkling of the eyes of another person.
And happiness.
But you can't force the eyes to sparkle.
Yes.
You can assist, but you can't force. You can't demand it or whatever.
Yes. So you can chase for happiness, or you can use a sensitivity to
make it happen.
Where happiness takes place in yourself.
But you have to give an opportunity. And that's maybe the key word for you, because you want to show us something about an opportunity.
and that was an experience or a surprise in our work at Eurythmy for You, when we combined more than 100 exercises which belong in a way to which is our complete set of exercises going through the whole different aspects of the planets behind what role they play in the movements. And when you start developing movements out of that, and we developed these exercises, and I was then practicing them myself, and you can just choose them by chance. And exactly when I was choosing them by chance, by random, they started to make me happy. I felt happy. And if I just am allowed to show you that we have this happy heart on our website, and you can just test it, it's for free. And if you want to have more exercises, you get them for €5 per year. That's, I think, nothing, or not much. And if it's too much, write to us. But that was a discovery. If you do not need much, that in your body, the feeling of happiness can come about. And just allow yourself to experiment with it. Please feel invited. Harald, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you also. Have a good evening, sleep good, and try to play around, maybe have fun, and take everything with you need, or what might be useful for you. but leave everything aside that you can't use at the moment and give it to others who maybe know what to do about with it. Thank you.